Hi everyone, welcome to Must Read Monday. My name is Dabney. I'm the young adult librarian with the Twin Lakes Libraries and I use they them pronouns. For today's episode, I'm going to be briefly reviewing the young adult books that I read in June, and we're just going to dive right in because I actually did read a lot. First up, we have a graphic novel, Barda by Ngozi Ukazu. So this is a DC title. I didn't really know anything about these characters before I picked it up, so it was all new information to me. You've got the main character Barda, who is living in the planet Apocalypse, and they are at constant war with New Genesis. It's like two planets with vastly different kind of beliefs and everything, and so the people of Apocalypse, they're very like warlike. They don't believe in love. They're just like all it's not a great place to live, but Barda's kind of been indoctrinated into this way of life, and then things start to change when they capture Scott Free, who is from New Genesis, and he starts sharing about like where he comes from, and kind of telling Barda like she doesn't have to be this way, like things can be different for her. And so I really liked it. I liked seeing kind of learning more about the different worlds. I like the characters. I love the art, and it's very good, like sci-fi action story, so definitely worth checking out. I read some new manga, which I don't have with me at the moment, but I read Mr. Villain's Day Off, Volume 4, so good. Whisper Me a Love Song, Volume 8, also great. Atelier Kitchen, Volume 3, which is so cozy and just like, I want these people to cook me food like all the time. And then a new series we got at the Hancock branch is Delicious and Dungeon, which I've been wanting to read. And it is really fun. So like the characters are exploring this dungeon that's like opened up. It's been open for like I think hundreds of years, and one of the party members gets eaten by a dragon. So the surviving members who decide to stick with the group, they are going to go back in the dungeon and look for her, but they're broke. They don't have enough like money to buy supplies and food. So one of the guys decides like, okay, we're going to eat the monsters who live in the dungeon. And the other two are like, absolutely not. Thankfully, they team up with a dwarf who they meet, and he is like, my time has come. And he shows them how to like prepare and cook all these monsters that they encounter. So they're eating well, but it's like, oh boy, y'all just ate like a scorpion and a giant bat and all kinds of things. So it's very entertaining though. I've been really enjoying it. Okay, some books I'm reading. Currently, I'm less than 100 pages to the end of this one. I'm probably going to mispronounce it, but Sheine Lende. It's the prequel to Alotsuwe. It's about Alotsuwe's grandmother. I believe it's set in like the 1970s, which is pretty cool. So the women in this family have the ability to raise the ghost of animals. And in this story, Sheine's mother has like a rescue operation where she and her dogs and her ghost dog go out and find missing people. However, during one of these missions, she goes missing as well as one of the children, and so Sheine is like trying to track her down, but it's pretty complicated because there is like magic mushrooms involved, and Sheine is like having to research this, connect with people across like the country, making new friends, making new allies, trying to figure this out. So I really like it. I love how the world building in this is just expanding, and yeah, it's been so good. I can't wait to find out what happens. One that I just listened to recently is Teenage Dirtbags. This is by the author of The Long Run, which was one of my favorite books I read last year. And the characters from The Long Run make brief appearances in this because it's set in the same high school. But this is about two guys who used to be like best friends until they got to middle school and had a big falling out and haven't really talked to each other in years. Long story short, one of them is dating this guy who is the worst, like made my blood boil. And he basically does this guy so wrong, like so wrong. He is just very manipulative and like what he does made me really, really angry. So the two of them and one of their classmates are like, okay, we are teaming up to take this guy down and his like group of friends. So it kind of sort of reminded me of Mean Girls in a way, but like the queer version of Mean Girls, because they're like, yeah, these people like act like they're so great and they're not. And then as it goes on, the two former best friends start to actually talk about like what happened to them and get closer, and it was really good. Flip the Script. This is about a girl who has been cast as the like main love interest on a K-drama, and so the thing is, to help the show get better ratings, they have her fake dating her co-star, even though like she doesn't like him that way. And then things get even more complicated when one of her friends from school gets cast as like another love interest in the show, so it's like a love triangle going on. But in reality, relationships are much more complicated than that, and that's all I'm gonna say, but it is really cute, especially if you love K-dramas. Otherworldly was like really a fun fantasy about this town that's been in eternal winter for like 5 years. So it's about Nox, who's a familiar from the other world, and Elri, who lives in this town and is just trying to make enough money to help their family's farm survive. So these two end up meeting at the diner where Elri works, and then again when Nox is on the run from some magical beings from the other world. And so they make a deal to work together and kind of solve, why there's eternal winter. Like, so they have to try and figure out how to contact the goddess on the other side and get her to fix the situation. So Nox is helping Elri with that. And in exchange, Elri is helping Nox experience like what it is to be human, specifically like a teen human, and going through kind of like all these fun first time experiences, like going to the mall and having a party. So it's really, really good. And I love the world building in this as well. Like, very fun. Canto Contigo. Oh my gosh. I did not know anything about mariachis before I read this. Now I feel like I know more. And it was so good, so entertaining, about, kind of like the hotshot of like this one high school mariachi group that's winning all the awards, and he has to transfer to another school that's always like in second place. So he's very full of himself, and he's like coming in thinking like, I'm going to show these people what's what. Only to find out he's not going to be the lead singer. It's another guy. So they have like this very fierce like rivalry going on, which is complicated because they had actually got together at like the last year's competition. And so it's like, oh, we could have been something, but now we're rivals. But the attraction is still there, and it's very good. And then very quickly, I absolutely love this, The Only Light Left Burning, which is a sequel to All That's Left in the World. So post-apocalyptic, walking, road tripping through Florida and the South. Highly recommend.